someone that is resilient, great, interesting individual. I go for what I want. I'm a proud Nigerian actually, so I really love this country, even though with the whole, interesting events that has been happening. Be confident enough to face our fears and, to go get what we want to get.
There is this negative perspective about Nigerian and so on, because I've worked with multiple Nigerians. You guys are amazing. I love the fact that you are so passionate about your country and the difference that you can make in Africa. There are so many amazing, well-paid jobs out there. Why freelancing?
Interestingly, I've always been a consultant.
You've been able to solve a problem that's going to change lives, right? How would you guide someone who wants to land their first job or their first client?
They need to understand that they need to be coached.
Let me take 1 minute of your time and tell you a bit more about this channel. We are on a mission to educate, inspire, and stimulate the gig economy in developing countries, especially Africa. And we strongly believe that you can contribute to that mission. About 80% of people watching the content on this channel have not subscribed to our channel. And one way you can contribute is by hitting that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and share this content. The more people this content reach, the bigger the channel becomes, and then the bigger the guests we get. We want to bring people that are making policies that are related to the gig economy in Africa, people that are in charge of innovations in our different countries. Now, back to our episode. I can tell you, there are so many amazing 9-to-5 jobs. There are so many amazing, well-paid jobs out there. Why freelancing? Why did you choose to become a freelancer?
Interestingly, I've always been a consultant. I've always seen myself as a consultant. Even when I was fresh out of, my bachelor's degree, I just completed my certification and all of that. I just tend to call myself an IT consultant, even when I never even knew what exactly the job description of an IT consultant, right? Mm-hmm. So I was still, going about trying to figure out what I want to be, what I want to become, how I want to direction I would like to take, in my career and all that. But, I just felt I loved the idea that, I'm trying to do something for someone at my own time, my own, manage expectation between the two parties, myself and the individual or the client. And also like to see myself as someone that solves problem, right? So, and yeah, you can solve problems in your 9-to-5 and all of those stuff, but you don't really own it. We don't have this autonomy, right? Most of the time. Mm-hmm. So, in freelancing, you tend to you tend to have the sense of, control. That is the word. Mm-hmm. Control, yeah, to solve the problems. You can go big, you can go, problem solving is it excites me. It's exciting, right? So yes. When you are trying to, solve problem A, something else comes and you solve that. It's like a trio. You're trying to, do a lot of things and all of those. So I tend to see myself also as an entrepreneur. So when I provide solutions for maybe using softwares and all of those stuff to, solve certain problems, right? So I'm trying to always fixated in the problem solving aspect. So as a freelancer, the problem you are going to solve, you tend to have lots of control over, even when you fail, when you don't solve it first time. Mm-hmm. You try again, and if you don't solve it the second time, you try again. But interesting thing is that once you eventually solve it, the excitement that I have actually done this, solved this, no matter it's interesting. It's a true.
Yeah. So, you feel this oozing satisfaction. You get this. You feel so satisfied that you've been able to solve a problem that's going to change lives, right? So
exactly.
You mentioned something that is really interesting to me, which is you seeing yourself as a consultant. All right. So that idea is really deep. wherein, every in the world, I mean, the term freelancing is being thrown around everywhere. But you can brand yourself that I am a consultant, right? I'm working remotely, but I'm a consultant. You can consult me to provide that service. And that also shows the entrepreneurship mindset that you already have, which you mentioned that also you have that entrepreneurship mindset, because for you to build amazing products, you need to understand how entrepreneurship is. And most clients look forward to people like that to work with them. So now, how did you start freelancing? Like, what was it like? Your first clients, getting your first clients as a remote worker, looking at where you're coming from, Nigeria, you're coming from, let's say we are all in Africa, and we know sometimes the perception that some people have about Africans, and how did you build your skills, mold yourself, prepare yourself to get that first job? What was it like? What was your experience? Now, I have seen people that are very new. They are new to the platforms that are maybe where freelancing is done, or maybe they want to move their services online like what you did. They don't want to spend time to learn. When you are working 9 to 5 or in-person jobs, wherein maybe you have physical clients and so on, it's a bit different when you come online, because online you have to use digital tools. You have to understand the platforms, the way they work. And the other important thing that you actually mentioned is having mentorship, right? Like, mentorship is very, very important. And this is why, like, this podcast exists, the African Notes podcast, because we want to make sure we can speak to people like you who have done it, and you can guide younger folks and also people that are thinking of moving their services online. That's one. Number two is also the ability to provide tutorials, right? There is another channel that we have. It's called African Notes Plus. So this is a channel wherein we provide tutorials on how to use specific platforms, as you can see on the screen. So these are things that you need to be patient to learn and build yourself, right? Like, model yourself as an expert. This is something also Mufaz has mentioned. You have to model yourself. You package yourself as an expert. So you speak like an expert, you do things like an expert, so that when a client comes, they come to you as an expert who can help them to solve the problems that they have, and then they can grow their business. So I just wanted to emphasize those points, and thank you very much for those points, and Mofaz. So now we can go into what platforms did you start when you went online for the first time? Which platforms? How did you find the platforms that you started working on, and which platforms did you end up, or would you recommend to somebody who is coming as a new person to work online?
You have to be able to deliver, be professional, right? Okay. You need to, once you are getting into Upwork and once you get a client, for instance, you need to be professional. You need to do what you say you are going to do. Mm-hmm. You don't default. You try as much as possible to, because I believe when they are giving you a review, you don't need to plead, and they will genuinely give you a good review, because you have no reason not to. You've done what they asked you to do. Mm-hmm. And you've completed it, and they're satisfied. So there's no reason for them to, not give you a good review. So you need to gradually even start from clients you feel, even select the client that you choose to work with, right? You don't need to go for everybody out there, because every client would not be a good fit for you. So you need to be able to sieve and say, you know what, this person, you're not a good fit for me, even after an interview or after a first pitch or something. You need to be able to sieve that client and say, okay, maybe not, and all of this stuff, and it's fine. You get other ones, and maybe it might not even be the client being rude or nothing. It might just be, time zone differences, that might even be a friction later at a future date if the client ready to work in a certain time zone and you're not comfortable with. But if you are desperate and you try to, work within that time zone, you might not be able to keep up.
So you mentioned something that I just wanted to emphasize, which is choose your clients wisely.